Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name's Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and I hope you're all having a great Tuesday, wherever it is in the world that you are. Could be even Wednesday, who knows? If you are tuning in live on Behance, let me know who you are and where you're tuning in from. We've got Rochelle and Sam and Docho, who's excited to be here. I'm excited to be here too. One Sock Wonder and Estzi and CT. I apologize. I probably butchered that. Ruben and Michelle and Evan and Peter, who just wrapped up their stream. Derek, Camila, Ed, everyone else, Julia. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and just dive straight into things because we may run out of time today. We have an exciting challenge for all of you. If you're brand new to the challenge, let me quickly go over all the goodies. Behance.net. Ooh, things are happening. Here we go, that's better. Behance.net/challenge/XD. That's where you're gonna go to find all the information about the daily creative challenge. You can hit the big blue register button at the top if you do want to get notified when new challenges are posted. We've got people from all over the world in New York and Amsterdam and Macedonia. That's an interesting place. San Diego, not as interesting. Kentucky. Awesome. Great to see all of you. So every day you're going to receive a challenge, Monday to Friday. You can join us in our community chat powered by Discord. We just passed 40,000 designers in Discord. That's a lot of people. So Sam posts the challenges every single morning. If you are participating, hop into the current challenge channel and post your work. I was in here a little bit giving some feedback and earlier today as well. If you have questions about XD or design in general, you can submit those in Discord as well. It's a good place to hang out with 40,000 people. And right now we have 1,500 people online. That's a lot of people. You're going to watch me daily, Monday to Friday at about 2 o'clock Pacific time. Next week is going to be a brand new host. I actually don't know who's hosting, but whoever it is going to be amazing. We always have fantastic hosts, so they're going to be fantastic. And you're going to share your work. Again, you can share it on Discord or Behance using the hashtag XDDailyChallenge. We've got someone from Los Angeles here for the first time. Welcome. And I'm probably going to Vidalma, possibly. Again, if I mispronounce anyone's name, I do apologize. So to recap, we started last week with plugins, explored ContentAware Layout, repeat grids, component states, guides, and today we're going to be diving into anchor links. And these are the things I love about these challenges. Is not only do you build up your skills as a designer, but you also learn new things every single day. Maybe you've never used anchor links in Adobe XD before because it's so new. And today we're going to do just that. Now, if you haven't, hey Cody, welcome. If you haven't been participating just yet, you can go ahead and get started. You can download the sample file, and every single day it's updated based on the previous challenge. So this is what the sample file looks like. Here's day number 6. We are focusing on anchor links. And here's where we left off. We've got our navigation bar on the left, got our call to action up top. We have our top post using a repeat grid in the middle. We have our lovely chart that we created using component states. And then yesterday we tackled the activity and profile section on the right. Now, thinking about anchor links, typically anchor links are used if you want to navigate to specific areas on a single page. So in this case, everything right now, if I go ahead and preview this, is above the fold. So everything can be seen. There's no scrolling going on. So that's the first thing we need to do. We need to enable scrolling. So here's how we're going to do it. Very simple. I'm going to go ahead and select the entire artboard. You can also select an artboard by double clicking on an empty spot. Pro tip for you. You've got these handles, right? One at the bottom, you've got one at the right. You also have one all around the artboard, but we're gonna just focus on the bottom one. And all you gotta do is just pull it down. You gotta make a sound effect too, very important. Just pull it down, and this is gonna be the area that will be scrollable, right? So we have this handle over here to the left. That's the viewport handle. Anything above this is going to be visible when the prototype loads, and anything below it is going to be visible upon scroll. So if I go ahead and press the play button at the top one more time, we see everything that's above that handle, and now if I scroll down, we can see everything that's below it. Well, in this case, there's nothing below it, but we will have something, right? The big question is, what are we going to have? So maybe on this dashboard, we might want to see social posts from people that we follow. So the first thing we might want to do is add a link, which we're going to wire up later on. So I'm going to grab my text tool and I'm simply going to type out view posts. If I can spell correctly, that would be wonderful. So I've got view posts. I'm going to make sure to use the same typeface that I've been using, Sophia Pro, which is going to be the new typeface of letsxd.com when it relaunches very soon. So I've got that, I'm going to just position it here. I would encourage you to explore where the best place to position your anchor links is. I'm going to put it here for now. This is probably not the best place, but we'll see how things go. All right, so I'm going to leave it right about there. Yeah, the scrolling is super simple, and once we get to the anchor links section, that's also super simple. So we've got that up there, and we're going to eventually use that to scroll down here at the bottom. Now the big question is, what's going to look like down here? Well, let's start off simple. We're going to grab our text tool, and we might want to type out recent posts. This is going to be a header, so it's going to be a little bit larger. And of course, if I did have, I'm going to bump this up to semi-bold. If I did have my assets saved within my assets panel, I can very easily grab some of that. I'll leave that right about there. And now let's go ahead and create that single post for now. So with the rectangle, we've been using the rectangle quite a bit lately. I'm going to drag one out, and those smart guides are letting me know that it's snapping to the left, it's snapping to the right. Everything looks pretty good. I'll leave it right about there. Now we have been using 28 pixels for the corner radius. So we're going to go ahead and see what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad. I think we're going to stick with it. And then maybe I'll just add a little bit of a border because we are working with a white box on a fairly light background. So, a slight border will help separate it. And you could add a drop shadow. You got to be careful with your drop shadows. I was just hearing Peter talk about drop shadows as well. I might make an entire video on shadows because they're very tricky to get right. All right, so we've got this that we're going to use for our first post. And inside of this box, there's a few elements that we might want, right? The first thing we might want is a profile photo. So I'll just drag one out with my ellipse, and we kind of touched on this yesterday as well. I'm gonna pop it somewhere about here. And then over here, I'm gonna grab my text tool, shortcut key T, and just type out name, right? And of course, you can put your real name or you can put your friend's name, whatever it might be. And I'll just pop that somewhere about here. Let's go for 18 pixels possibly. That looks okay. And I can also, if I wanted to, sample one of these pinks just to add a little bit of color to this profile section. All right, so we've got that. I can also just change the color just as a placeholder right now. I can maybe add an image a little bit later on. Now down below, we might want some text to, I'm gonna actually make this a little bit larger. Maybe, yeah, there we go. All right, so we might want some text that's the actual post. So maybe in this case, it's just a text post, and then if we have time, we'll get to a photo post as well. So I'm gonna grab my text tool, and instead of single clicking like I just did, we may want to click and drag to create area text. So I'll just go ahead and do that. I'll just click and drag, just so I have enough room for, 1 or 2 lines. And let's go ahead and type out, anyone know when the burrito truck is coming tonight? Question, right? So maybe this one, it will just be a single line. So I'll do that. Now pink is probably not the best idea for something like this, so I'll just go for a nice dark color, just like that. All right, so we've got that. I'm gonna also drop the weight to about regular. It's usually what you would probably use in a text post like this. Now down below this, we might want a few things. We might want a way to comment on the post. We might want a way to like the post, for example. So I'm gonna grab the rectangle one more time, drag one across the artboard. And I might wanna round out, let me zoom in here. I might wanna round out the corners just a little bit. I don't wanna go too crazy because then it just doesn't look right. So I'll just round out the corners just a touch, like that. Maybe I'll change the background. I'll just darken it just a little bit. And again, I'm adding a very subtle border just so it separates from the background, just like that, all right? Now, on the inside, we might want some sort of a call to action in order to leave a comment, right? There we go. And this is usually, it's inactive immediately, so we'll keep it at regular, but we're gonna probably drop the opacity. We can even go, possibly, we can go for light and drop that. And I'll pop this somewhere around 24 pixels from the left. Now that's looking okay. I'm gonna make sure to group some of these elements to keep things organized. And maybe over to the right, we might want some sort of an icon that will actually send this comment, right? So I'm gonna go to my plugins very quickly, and we explored plugins on day number 1. I'll just go ahead and type out, let's say, envelope. I think we can, whoops, I deleted it. envelope. And nope, that's not going to work. Let's say send. There we go. There's a little paper airplane we can use. So I'll go ahead and grab that. I'll put this over here. I'm going to make sure to put it inside of the group. And I can also use my eyedropper to just sample one of these colors just to add a little bit more color to this design, right? There we go. Perfect. All right. So we've got that done, but we also might want a way to actually like this post. So in order to save some real estate, we can actually just kind of make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to grab the whole group, make it a little bit smaller. ContentAware responsive resize is doing its thing by snapping leave comment to the left, so we can just very easily kind of move this over. And because we already have some of these elements, I can just copy this background, paste it, and just use that for another section over here to the left. And this might be like a like counter, for example. Now, if you don't know how to make a heart in Adobe XD, I may just blow your mind. Go ahead and grab the polygon tool from the tools bar, draw one out. You're probably asking, why am I grabbing the polygon tool if I want a heart? Now there's a bunch of options. You can round out the corners a little bit. You can make a star. However, if in the properties inspector, you type out greater than 3, or is that less than 3? I don't know. Whatever. Type out that symbol and press return. Ooh, now you have a heart, right? Isn't that cool? I can just go ahead and make this just a border, increase the size a little bit, pop that there, and then I may want some text. I don't know, let's say there's 45 likes already on this post. Let's go for actually 12. 12 is a good number. And I'll put that right about there, right? I can also sample this color here, press the I key, and there we go. That's less than, yeah, it probably is, isn't it? Perfect. All right, that's looking pretty good. And I can just move this up to make sure everything looks really nice. So we've got, I'm gonna make sure to group all this, and this can be called text post. See, mind blown, isn't that cool? It's a cool little Easter egg. Everyone's going crazy. Yeah, we threw in that Easter egg at Valentine's Day, and whenever someone discovers it, it's always like, all right, so we've got this looking pretty good. I might want to just kind of move this up a little bit just so it's kind of centered. And now we may want one more post. We may want a photo post, for example. So I'm gonna just duplicate this because I already have all that information. I'm gonna just rename this photo post. And maybe I'll just make this a little bit bigger. Now, of course, responsive resize hasn't been completely set up for this. So I'm just gonna do some of this manually. Move this down, move this information down. Oops, I forgot to group some of this stuff. That's terrible, Howard, terrible. Hearts. And I'll just move this down. Now, in this area, we may want a photo. So I'm gonna grab my rectangle, make sure everything lines up really nicely, drag it across the artboard. I'm noticing a little bit of alignment issues. That's 29 and 30, so it's like a pixel off, but that's okay. And just to give a little bit of flair to this, I'm gonna round out the corners a touch. I'm gonna make sure this is 15 pixels. Now 15 is probably not the optimal. Probably want to go for 16 or something like that. So I'm going to do that. I'm not too worried about what the actual shape looks like because we're going to hop over to Finder where I have another new image, tacos versus burritos. I'm going to go ahead and drag this in, position it into place, and make some changes. So let's settle the debate once and for all. Tacos or burritos? And I would love in the chat if you give your suggestion or give your answer to this. Do you like tacos or do you like burritos? You can also put an emoji in the chat so we can really figure this out, right? Now, as I'm doing this, we might run out of room. So double click on the artboard and just drag this down a little bit, and then we can go ahead and make some changes, right? Move this down nicely. And of course, we probably should have used ContentAware Layout as well. And you can very easily do that even after the fact. So if I just select this entire group, I can go over here to the right and turn on padding. We've got Swathi for tacos. I've got tacos, tacos, tacos. Allison says burritos. Ooh, I don't know. I'm kind of on the burrito train. Cassidy says tacos. Ooh, it's mostly tacos. Adam says burritos. Now, like I showed off in the ContentAware challenge, what you can do is, even though, you know, we've got this looking interesting, right? and padding is turned on, so it allows us to kind of move things around. We can include this section down here as part of the background. So I've got those selected over here in the layers panel. I'm also going to go ahead and select the background layer. I'm going to group it, and I promise in this challenge, no one's going to lose their pants. Let's go ahead and name this background, make sure it's at the bottom of the layer stack. And now I can just move this element around, and it's also going to take the comment and hearts elements with it as well. So if I just want to make this larger, I can just do that, and that'll all move really nicely. If I want to make this bigger, you're going to notice, look at all that move. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It just all moves really nicely, and that's the work of ContentAware Layout. And of course, you're probably noticing some stuff down here. What you can do is dive in here, grab this, go to manual, make sure everything's fixed, just like that, and then you'll be able to, have a nice responsive resize. So we've got some of this information. Let's go ahead, before we get into the anchor link section, let's just dive into a plugin for just very quickly, just to fill in these faces. I'm going to go to UI faces, we'll choose unsplash, and bam, apply. It's going to grab a random face from unsplash, it's going to fill it in. That's a great photo. And I'll do the exact same thing for this one down here. Perfect. All right, we've got two people looking pretty good, and there also is a plugin, I forget what it's called, but you can also grab names as well if you wanted to. You can grab a lot of information, including addresses, names, cities, that sort of thing. So explore plugins, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. All right, but the big question is, how do we actually wire some of this stuff up? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and press play. And we can of course scroll down to see our posts, but we may also want to be able to click on view post to get down there. But at the same time, we may also not want some of this information to move as we're scrolling. So what we're going to do is we're going to select, I'm going to go back to my layers panel. We're going to select this navigation bar, and then over to the right within the properties inspector, we're going to turn on fixed position when scrolling, so it doesn't move as we're moving down. We can also select this activity section over to the right and do the exact same thing. So now when we press play, you're going to notice only the middle section scrolls down. The navigation bar and the activity section on the right stay nicely in place. Great. So now to get to the fun stuff, anchor links. What we're going to do is we're going to hop into prototype mode, and you want to start by selecting the element that is going to trigger the action. In this case, that action is the scroll. So we're going to go ahead and select view post, this text layer at the top. And there's a few ways to do this. Of course, if you're working with multiple artboards, you can drag that handle to another one. And Swati is saying repeater. It could be that one. That could be it. I think there's a few of them, but that might be the one that I'm thinking of. So if you're working with two artboards, you can drag the handle to a second one. Or if you're working with component states, you can just simply click on it, right? But however, because we're working with elements that are on the same artboard, all we have to do is grab that little handle and drag it. Now you're noticing as I hover over some of these elements, there's a blue bounding box that appears. So what we want to do is just drop it on recent post just down here. And then over to the right in the properties, there's a bunch of different options, right? It's automatically going to be set to scroll to because it realizes that we dragged it to an element on that same artboard. The destination was already set because we landed it on the text layer. Y offset we're going to get to in a second. The easing options are fairly familiar for you, some of you. Ease in and out, it's a pretty good one. It's a little bit slower at the beginning, a little bit slower at the end. And duration. You probably don't want to go too quickly unless, sometimes on a web page, if you click on an anchor link, it just cuts to it. In that case, you can just set the duration at 0. It'll look really nice. Let's go for 0.8 seconds. It might be a little bit slow, but we'll see what that looks like. So with that done, we're going to press play at the top. We're going to click on view posts, and it's going to wheel right down to recent posts, right? Now, you might be noticing that because we dragged it to that recent post layer, it's very flush with the top. And in some cases you may want that, but it just feels a little bit claustrophobic. And that's where Y position comes into play, which again is over here in the properties inspector. You can either enter a number here, but a little bit easier, right here, there's this handle. Let me just, so you can see both of them. You can just drag this up just to give a little bit of breathing room, just like that, right? You can press play, view posts, and it scrolls right down. And you can experiment exactly where you want to land on it. There we go. Almost got it. I just want it really flush with that navigation bar at the top. I'm very particular like that. Someone is saying, can you share your prototype with your client and change the background color to something else than white? You certainly can. You can definitely go into share mode, and there's a lot of different ways you can share for design review or development, and you can absolutely change the background color to whatever you want. And Stephanie's saying, can we drag the wire to a specific position below the fold of another artboard? I don't believe you can. So scroll to the anchor links have to be on a single artboard, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So if I drag this one over here, right? Yeah, you can't. But that would be an interesting suggestion. But for now, it's all single artboard. So let me backtrack out of that. So we've got this one anchor link set up. Now, down below, once you've scrolled, we might want the ability to get back to the top. Now, if you're familiar with many mobile apps like Twitter and Facebook and that sort of thing, usually tapping on the same icon will get you back up there. So what we can do is we can actually use the icon that we already have, which is this dashboard icon. So back in prototype mode, I'm simply going to grab this handle on the dashboard icon. I'm going to drag it to the navigation bar that it's sitting on, and I'm going to drag the Y offset up. So it's nice and flush with the top of the screen, right? So now when I press play, words are hard when you're like 20 minutes into the stream. I can press on view post to go down to the bottom. I can see the post, I can scroll. And again, the navigation bar is nicely fixed. And for some reason, I unfixed this. Let's go one more time. All the way down to the bottom, right? You can scroll to see as many posts as you need to. And then if you tap on the dashboard icon, it goes back to the top. Just does its thing. Really cool. Now, to wrap things up, we may want to very quickly maybe utilize components to fill in this heart, for example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive in here, I'm going to select the heart, and I'm going to press the plus button beside component in my properties inspector, just like that. And this is definitely going to be the default state, the unfilled in state. So I'm going to press the plus button one more time and create one more new state. I'm going to call this filled in, or I can just call it liked, for example. And with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and dive into this component and just make some changes. So I'm going to turn off the border, turn on the fill, set the color to a nice reddish pink. There we go. And now I have my two states, my default state and my liked state. And to wire this up, super simple. Head into prototype mode, single click to create a component. And we did this a few days ago when we created those states. And I'm sorry, I meant single click to create a new interaction. And then over to the right, you want to choose a destination. Make sure that transition is selected. Transition or auto animate, either one depending on the situation. And you want to choose the liked state, just like that, right? And because we're not really animating anything in this particular case, we're going to simply choose a transition with maybe, I don't know, do we want to go to dissolve? Do we want to go none? I think none will probably work because it'll simply cut to it, right? And then we can go to the like state, click, and we're going to choose the default state. All the other properties are maintained. So if we go to view post, we can tap, boop, there we go. It fills in the heart. Of course, in a perfect world, if you were to spend a little bit more time, then that number over there, 12 would go to 13, but you can just click again, turn on the heart, turn off the heart. No need for separate artboards. Everything is done within the single one. And of course, I can grab this heart here. I can pop it in here. Right? Let me go ahead and delete that. Whoops. Delete just the heart, paste it in there. Let me move it into place. And what's nice is because it's a component, all the other properties and the wire, the interactions are maintained. So if I go down here, I can like this post, I can scroll down, I can like that post as well. I can go back to the top, and there we have it. So that's just about going to do it for me for today. Definitely, work on your designs, explore anchor links, not just for your dashboard that you're building out, but also other projects. I've been revisiting a lot of projects I've been working on, and I've been working on implementing anchor links. And even in the Let's XD redesign, which you're going to see more about on Friday during my masterclass, there's some anchor links in there. So definitely implement those in your projects. Post your work in Discord and on Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. And that'll just about do it. I'm excited to see all your stuff. I'm going to be in Discord a little bit later today, giving feedback. Big thanks again for, there wasn't a boop today. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Okay, there I am. I'm back. I pressed the boot button on my Stream Deck and the entire my entire monitor and Wirecast froze. I don't know if you saw any of that, but thanks for tuning in. I don't know what happened. I'll see you all tomorrow, and have a great day. My name's Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist. Here, my entire monitor and Wirecast froze. I can scroll down on Friday during my